everyone, and welcome back. You already know how much we love to deep dive here, and today we're diving into something I'm pretty sure you use every single day, emojis. But we're not just like picking our favorites or anything. We're going way beyond the smiley face to uncover the future of like digital emotion.
Yeah, we're really diving into some cutting-edge research here with this
Oh,
paper.
yeah.
It's called The Evolution of Emojis for Sharing Emotions.
Okay, so not just like one study. They looked at a bunch of different research on this.
A whole bunch. It's a really cool synthesis of years of data on how people use emojis to express themselves.
Which is honestly like way more complex than you might think.
Absolutely.
Like, remember back in the day when emails used to be so formal?
Oh, yeah.
It was painful. And now imagine trying to express any kind of excitement or disappointment using only that style of writing.
It'd be brutal.
Yeah.
And that's really what the researchers were getting at here, this idea of media richness.
Okay, break that down for me.
So, like, face-to-face conversations.
Yeah.
They're packed with information.
Yeah.
Your tone of voice, your facial expressions, even your body language.
Right, you got all those cues.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But text, not so much.
Yeah, it can be really hard to read the room over text.
For sure. And that's where emojis come in. They help bridge that gap, adding a layer of like emotional subtext.
Okay, I like that. It's like they're the spice rack of the digital world.
Exactly.
But here's the thing, and maybe it's just me, but sometimes having so many emoji options, it's like, how do I choose?
Oh, I totally feel that.
Like, I swear I have spent an embarrassing amount of time scrolling for just the right pizza emoji.
You and me both. It's almost like the emoji version of writer's block, you know? The researchers actually have a term for it. They call it decision paralysis. We want all these ways to express ourselves, which is great, but then all the options just become kind of overwhelming.
It's funny how that happens, right? We go from struggling to convey any emotion through text to agonizing over 50 versions of the laughing emoji.
It's true.
And that kind of takes us back to the whole evolution of emojis, right?
Yeah.
We started with those old school emoticons.
The classics.
Colon D, wink, semicolon, you know, the classic.
Exactly. The OG emojis.
Oh, the nostalgia. But then when did those like actual picture emojis come in?
So the late 90s is when the first pictographic emojis, the ones we use today, popped up in Japan.
Japan, always ahead of the curve.
Right. But it wasn't actually until 2010 that things really changed. That's when the Unicode Consortium came along and standardized emojis across all the different platforms.
Thank goodness, because can you imagine?
It would be chaos.
Total chaos. If my emojis looked different on your phone, we'd be back to deciphering hieroglyphic.
It'd be a whole new language to learn.
Emoji mayhem.
Exactly. But, you know, this research goes way beyond just the history of emojis. It also looks at how to make them work better.
Okay, now that's what I'm talking about. Making them work better. Like, what does that even mean? How do you improve an emoji? Okay, now that's what I'm talking about. Making them work better. Like, what does that even mean? How do you improve an emoji?
Well, it's really about capturing those subtle shades of feeling we all have, you know.
Okay, so instead of just a generic sad face, we're talking like disappointed but hopeful for the future emoji.
That's the idea. It's about achieving what researchers call emotion alignment, making sure the emoji you pick actually reflects what you're trying to say.
Which, let's be real, can be tough sometimes. Like a winky face. That can mean a lot of different things depending on who you're talking to.
Exactly. Context is key. And that's why researchers are coming up with some really creative solutions. One that I thought was super interesting is called Emoji Zoom.
Emoji Zoom. Okay, that sounds intense. Do I need my 3D glasses for this?
No 3D glasses needed. Basically, instead of scrolling through rows and rows of emojis, Emoji Zoom uses a zooming interface.
Okay.
So you see all the emojis at once, then you zoom in on the group you want, and then the specific emoji.
Oh, like those maps where you can zoom in from like the whole world to a single street corner?
Exactly.
Okay, that's actually kind of brilliant.
It is. And the research showed that it was actually 18% faster for people to find the emoji they were looking for using this method.
Wow, 18%. That's a pretty significant difference.
It is. And it really shows how tapping into our brain's natural way of processing spatial information can make a big difference.
So I'm not just being high maintenance when I spend 10 minutes searching for the perfect taco emoji. It's science!
It's science!
I knew it! But tell me there's an even easier way.
Well, some researchers are looking into something called predictive emoji keyboards, which is pretty cool.
Predictive emoji keyboards? Okay, what is that? Like emoji ESP?
Kind of. Essentially, these keyboards would learn your emoji habits and the context of your conversations to, like, suggest relevant emojis.
So, like, if I'm always sending the laughing, crying emoji when my friend tells me about their dating life?
Exactly. Your keyboard might just offer it up automatically the next time they mention a Tinder disaster.
Okay, that is seriously smart. But, like, what about people who don't use a standard keyboard?
That's a great point. The research also looks at voice and gesture-based input for emojis, making them more accessible for everyone.
Oh, so you could just be like, hey, phone, insert thinking face emoji here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or even imagine using a hand gesture to add an emoji. It's about making digital communication more intuitive and expressive for everyone. But, it gets even wilder than that.
Wilder. We're going wilder than that. Okay,
Mhm.
you've officially got my attention. What's beyond the emoji keyboard as we know it? Wilder. We're going wilder than that. Okay, you've officially got my attention. What's beyond the emoji keyboard as we know it?
Well, we're talking about, connecting our bodies to our messages, using augmented reality,
Yeah.
even incorporating touch into digital communication.
Okay, whoa, whoa, whoa. Too much, too fast. Let's start with, like, the body stuff. How do you even connect your physical body to a text message?
So researchers are looking at something called biosignals, things like your heart rate, your brain activity.
Okay.
And they're using them to create visualizations that actually reflect your emotions in real time.
Hold on. Are you saying they can, like, read my mind through my phone?
Not quite mind reading, but they can tell, for instance, if your heart rate increases while you're typing a message.
And that means...
Well, it could indicate you're feeling stressed, excited, who knows, and that feeling. It could then be translated into a visual representation that gets sent along with your message.
So instead of an emoji, you'd send, like, a little graph of your heartbeat?
Something like that. The paper actually talks about this app called Animo. It's a smartwatch app that lets you share these abstract animations based on your biosignals. So say your smartwatch senses you're stressed.
Which, let's be real, mine always does.
Right. So it sends your friend a pulsing red icon along with your message. Or if you're relaxed, maybe it's a gentle blue wave, something like that.
So it's like a visual representation of what my Apple Watch already knows about me, but now my friends can see it too. Not sure I'm ready to share my anxiety sweats with the group chat just yet. But it's definitely an interesting concept. It's like adding a whole other dimension to our digital communication.
Exactly. And it brings up all these questions, right? Like how much do we really want to reveal about ourselves online? But let's move on to augmented reality for a sec, AR for short.
Okay, now AR is where I feel like things get really futuristic. I mean, I know it's about like overlaying digital images onto the real world. I've definitely chased down my fair share of Pokemon Go characters in my day, but how does that translate to like expressing emotions?
Okay, well, imagine emojis that react to your actual facial expressions.
Oh.
Or think about the ability to leave a personalized emoji message in a physical space that people can then view through their phone or their AR glasses.
So I could leave a little like heart emoji on my friend's desk at work to cheer them up.
Exactly. Or think bigger. The research mentions this app called Augie, where you can design these elaborate handcrafted AR avatars of yourself to share.
Oh, so like taking those Bitmoji things to a whole other level.
Exactly.
Okay, I can already picture myself spending way too much time on that. Crafting the perfect virtual me.
I mean, who wouldn't?
Right. Okay, AR is definitely super cool, but what about this whole touch thing I've been hearing about? Are we talking like reaching through our phones to give virtual hugs? Because personally, I'm not quite there yet.
No virtual hugs, at least not yet. But researchers are exploring what's called haptics.
Haptics.
Yeah, it's basically technology that uses things like vibrations, heat, even textures to add this physical dimension to digital communication.
Okay, you officially lost me.
Yeah.
So instead of just seeing a fire emoji, I'd like feel a burst of heat from my phone.
It's not always quite so literal. Think more like subtle variations. A happy emoji might be a gentle warmth, while an angry one could be a short, sharp buzz. The research mentions this concept called multi-emoji, where they're combining visuals, vibrations, even temperature changes to express this wider range of emotions.
So they're basically creating a whole new language for digital communication, but like with our senses.
Exactly. And it all comes back to that idea of making our online interactions more personal, more nuanced, closer to that richness we get from face-to-face.
It's a lot, for sure. I mean, we've covered everything from mind-reading emojis to feeling our messages.
We have.
So for those of us who are still trying to process all this, what's the like key takeaway here?
I think it boils down to this, the future of emoji. It's not just about adding a cute little icon to your text. It's about finding these new, creative, sometimes kind of crazy ways to express that full spectrum of human emotion, even through a screen.
It's like we're on the verge of a digital emotional revolution or something, which I guess kind of makes me wonder, where do we go from here? All this talk of biosignals and AR and feeling our messages. What does it even mean for the future of human connection?
That is the million-dollar question, isn't it? And I think it's one we all need to be thinking about. As technology evolves, it gives us all these incredible tools to share more of ourselves digitally. But it also means we need to be really mindful about what we're going to share, where we draw that line between authentic expression and, honestly, maybe sharing a little too much.
Definitely something to think about. And on that note, I think that's got to be a wrap on this deep dive. So, listeners, we're leaving you with this. Think about your own relationship with emojis. How are you using them now? And how do you think these wild new technologies might change the way you communicate, the way you share your emotions with the world? It's a brave new emoji world out there.